18th century siege warfare. Increasingly, they became social events, attracting sutlers and curious bystanders. However, Maurits...
What? Alright, staggering siege. Honestly, just reacting
The Dutch army under the command of Maurits arrived at the town of Geertruidenber on the 27th of March, 15...
Honestly, Saturn Roman history, this guy has some pretty good videos. I was supposed to react to him for a bit, and some of you actually do want me to, but it just keeps leaving my head. So
92.
I gotta...
This was the first time
definitely.
the Prince of Orange took autonomous command of a sizable military operation. This established Maurits' reputation as a competent commander. The siege of Geertruidenberg was characterized by difficult terrain, a ship blockade on the Maas, and the construction of extensive field fortifications. This is how contemporary historiography tells the story of the staggering siege of Geertruidenberg. In 1592, the Dutch Protestant rebels advanced towards the remaining Catholic strongholds held by the Spanish in the northeastern parts of the Netherlands. They laid siege to the city of Steenwijk first. After it capitulated on the 4th of July, they proceeded to Coevorden, which surrendered on the 12th of September.
Did you know?
According to the historian Olaf van Nimwegen, the capture of these two towns put severe pressure on the Spanish stronghold of Groningen. Despite this, the States General, the Executive and Legislative Council of the Dutch Republic, decided to make Geertruidenberg the target of the 1593 campaign. In early 1592, the governor of the Spanish Netherlands, Alexander Farnese, Duke of Parma, had died. It took the Spanish High Command quite some time to deal with the loss of this experienced commander and distinguished siege expert. Eventually, though, he was replaced by Peter Ernst I von Mansfeld-Vorderort. Mansfeld was governor of Luxembourg, which became the target of a divisionary attack led by Philips of Nassau, Maurits' cousin, in early 1593. Philips managed to lure the newly appointed Spanish commander southwards. For Maurits and his Dutch army, this cleared the way to Geertruidenberg. Geertruidenberg had already changed hands twice during the years of the Dutch revolt. First, in 1573, when a Protestant force took it from the Spanish in a coup de main. Then again in 1589, when the Spaniards won the town back by the way of bribing the English garrison in the city, who hadn't been paid for months.
Wow.
After this, the defenses of the city were significantly strengthened, which added further to the already favorable position of the city at the confluence of the rivers Maas.
Yeah, bro, I'm looking at this right now, and that's some I can see why he put staggering in the title.
The city lay on wet, soft ground,
oh my
which made
goodness.
it difficult to move heavy siege equipment, to dig trenches and to build redoubts. Apart from this, Mansfeld had reinforced the garrison before pursuing Philips, so that it now numbered about 1,000 men. All in all, Geertruidenberg would not be an easy conquest. Maurits of Orange and his army of about 7,000 men arrived at Geertruidenberg on the 27th of March. According to the historian Olaf van Nimwegen, this was the first time that Maurits assumed autonomous command of a sizable military operation. He took quarter on the western side of the city, from where he decided to approach it. At the same time, the Count of Hohenlohe erected his camp at the village of Ramstonk, east of Geertruidenberg. Maurits, being aware of the threat of Mansfeld's army, took the defense against the relief force as much into account as the enclosing of the besieged city. However, there was an obstacle he had to break through first, a fort called Stelvliet or Stelhoven at the shore of the Dong. It served as an outpost for the city and was a hindrance to every approach. Although the defenders of the fort did their best and resisted the attack led by Hohenlohe for 5 days, the stronghold was won over and lost. Maurits then blocked the roads to and from the city and erected 4 forts connected by a double line of trenches to hold off Mansfeld's relief army.
Damn!
That's
That's
divided by Ravelins, mounted with 2 guns each.
What in the world? Bro, this reminds me of freaking Caesar. When Caesar like my Caesar series where he freaking like surrounded. I forgot. Was it the Battle of Alesia? I forgot the name, but it started with an A. I think it was like Alesia or Alyssa or something along those lines. I don't know. The point is like when Caesar freaking basically built a fort around the fort. I don't know. I find it very, very fun when stuff like this happens, because I have reacted to some battles where like this type of stuff happens, and that's where it, for me, it gets like really fun, because it's like you have these people here and then you have these people outside. So it's like, okay, what if someone comes now? They're still trying to attack, and then, you know, they're the ones being besieged now. I don't know. That type of shit is just fun to me.
And surrounded by a wet ditch and a counterscarp of sharpened stakes. All in all, more than 100 guns were mounted on this fortress of earth, built around Geertruidenber. In addition, 100 ships formed a semicircle on the mass to complete the encirclement on the water. They not only blocked the river, but also took part in the daily cannonades. Moreover, a system of windmills and dikes was installed to further restrict the mobility of an approaching force by pumping water to certain areas, and to be prepared in the case the defenders would break a dike to flood the fields surrounding Geertruidenber.
Oh wow! I didn't know windmills could do that. Wow.
Victorious task forward. Maurits ordered his men to dig, inducing them to work rapidly by paying extra, about a laborer's daily wage. He expected a strong relief force and was worried that the earthworks would not be finished on time. These spectacular field fortifications attracted various observers, amongst them notable persons such as Louise de Coligny, William the Silent's fourth and last wife, who rode out from The Hague to visit the scene. Apart from these public characters, the camp thronged with local folk. People from the surrounding area flocked to the camp to cast a glance at the siege or sell their goods to the soldiers. Christopher Duffy sees this as an anticipation of one of the more charming customs of 17th and 18th century siege warfare. Increasingly, they became social events, attracting sutlers and curious bystanders. However, Maurits...
What? What? That's... I don't even... Shit, you know what? You know, I'd be curious too. I'd honestly be curious
too. Had to face some extraordinary difficulties. Only very slowly did the Dutch approaches and seps get closer to the city walls. Because of the soft and wet ground of the area, the wheels of the big and heavy guns simply sunk into the mud, and the horses struggled with the soft terrain too. So Maurits, one engineer, designed special wooden mats, which were then laid out to create stable paths and positions. In addition, the defenders put up a fierce fight, especially the ones who in 1589 had been bribed to hand over the city to the Spaniards. The States General had issued the order to take action against the so-called bergverkoppers, those who took bribes from the Spanish with all severity. Every bergverkopper was to be hanged.
Yo! Yeah, no wonder why they gotta fight hard, bruh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, bruh. Yo, that's the thing, bruh. It's like, in some instances, when someone know that it's like GG, well played, oh my goodness, dude. They're gonna literally fight like there's no tomorrow. Because quite literally, there is no tomorrow. And the amount of times where, like, I've witnessed in so many of my reactions where that could have been avoided, but I've seen some stupid commanders just decide, let's go and unalive like set amount of people. This will totally not make them fight harder. It's insane.
Mansfeld, who had heard of the situation, marched his army back north as fast as possible. He reached Austerhout in late May 1593. Despite a mutiny followed by a number of desertions, his army still numbered about 9,000 to 10,000 men. Maurits was gravely concerned about the relief army and asked his cousin Willem Lodewijk to send reinforcements. On the 15th of June, 600 Frisians arrived in Maurits' camp.
Frisians
were fewer than requested. It was just enough to support the besiegers in the almost daily skirmishes against the Spaniards. To Mansfeld's disappointment and Maurits' relief, the contravallation proved almost impenetrable. Sir Francis Vere, an Englishman in Dutch service, even led a foray against Mansfeld's advancing infantry. After heavy fighting, the Spaniards pulled back and Vere and his men returned to the defences. Only a bit later, a unit of Spanish cavalry charged at the defences, but they couldn't break through and got entangled in a skirmish with the defenders before being routed. These early incidents were followed by further skirmishes, attacks and ambushes on supply trains. When the losses in the ranks of the Spaniards increased, Mansfeld pulled back, reorganized his troops and took position a bit farther away from the Dutch lines. He eagerly observed every movement within the contravallation. Meanwhile, the Dutch had made some progress in digging the approaches. Their trenches and seps came ever closer to the walls of Geertruidenber. According to Van Nimwegen, they reached the outer side of the wet ditch at several locations by the end of May. After 81 days of digging, they were in a position from where they could cross the ditch of the city. In addition, the besiegers successfully dug galleries beneath the ramparts of the city and shot at the walls and the town with increasing success. The defenses of the city had suffered severe damage. Many houses and other buildings within the city had been torn down by cannonballs, and the number of casualties rose from hour to hour. Moreover, ammunition and provisions ran low. Soon, hunger became a real problem. In early June, heavy rain poured over Geertruidenber. The wet ground around the city soon turned into a quagmire. The last and only hope for Geertruidenber was Mansfeld's relief army.
Over 8,000 men of permanent.
Maurits ordered an assault on both the Ravelin and the main rampart on the 24th of June. During the fight, the third commander of the city's garrison was shot by a cannonball. This was devastating for the defenders' fighting spirit. They did not want to face a full-scale and properly organized assault without a leader. Around the same time, they learned that Mansfeld's attempts to help them in their dire situation had failed across the board. They were faced with two options: either giving in and yield the city or continue to fight a losing battle. Fighting until the end usually meant grave punishment when finally being conquered. So it wasn't long until the city sent out some emissaries to discuss terms with Maurits. After short negotiations, an honorable surrender was agreed upon. Geertruidenber surrendered to Maurits on the following day. When Mansfeld heard of the capitulation, he turned away and occupied the Bommelerwaard to prevent any progression of Maurits in the eastern direction. The garrison of Geertruidenber was allowed to leave the city, but without flying their colors. While the civilians in the city were assured to be treated like the inhabitants of any other city under rebel control, 3 of the Bergverkoppers were executed at the gallows. Willem Lodewijk congratulated Maurits to his victory and compared it to Caesar's siege of Alesia in 52.
Yeah, Alesia. You see, I wasn't tripping. Alesia. I had the right. Yeah, the freaking accent pronunciation though.
BC. A great compliment to Maurits, as he was an enthusiastic student of ancient Roman warfare himself. The reduction of Geertruidenber.
Oh, so he was literally inspired.
Established Maurits' reputation as a field commander and was a signal victory with great strategical importance.
That's mad, bruh. that's freaking, yo, guys. The stuff that I react to, you know, like I still remember it. You know, like I literally I just still remember the stuff that I react to in the past, for the most part. But freaking that was yeah, I gotta react to some more San and Roman history, bro. This dude has a lot of good stuff. It's honestly criminal that I haven't been doing it. If you know any videos like this that you would love to see my reaction to, you know I would love to react to, comment in the comments below. Eventually I will do it. You know, if you want your suggestions to be done quicker, you're active viewer and you want your comments to be replied to much more faster, you can always join the channel membership for 99 cents a month. Like I said, I purposely made it cheap for you guys, for my active viewers more so. So yeah, you could go click the link in the pinned comments below for all of the perks and benefits of that, because I'm lazy to explain it here. Go check out my other stuff on my channel like this. You know what I mean? Thank you for watching and goodbye.